Good morning, everyone. Oh, I forgot the chimes. Huh, I'm all off kilter. Good morning, everyone. This is Jeffy Kennedy, author of Epic Fantasy Romance. I'm here with my first cup of coffee. Ah, delicious. So great to be back in my grape arbor with my coffee in my home. All of these things. Today is Monday. I know that. What is it? Oh, it's August 7th. Uh, yes, and so I'm back from travels. Had a great time at Willamette Writers Conference. If you are in the Pacific Northwest or want to be, Portland, Oregon area, I do highly recommend it as a conference for especially aspiring authors, but for more accomplished authors, for if you want to go teach and so forth. It's just a very, very appreciative audience. The uh, Willamette Writers is a nonprofit organization that covers, well, like all of Willamette Valley and beyond, I suppose. And Kate Ristaw is executive director of it. They have terrific people on the board, and they've really gone to a lot of effort to create a community that is very supportive and engaged. And it was really just a lovely atmosphere. Uh, I'm a little bit later this morning. I flew in kind of latish last night, so I have to adjust for dappling here. It rained just a little bit this morning. I wish it would rain more. So yeah, it was. I was really glad I went. I've already received several emails from people thanking me and saying how great it was to meet me and so forth. A lot of people hadn't heard about SIFWA before, so I feel like that was a really productive way to rep the organization, as is part of my job description to do. And I taught a master class. I mentioned that several times on that Friday, and it was really super fun. It was a group of 10 students. We all sat around a big conference table or a smallish conference table, and it was the right size class, um, and they soaked it all up, um, and it was and they said very nice things to me afterwards. Everybody seemed just thrilled with what they learned and walked away inspired to go write and work at stuff, which I feel like is one of the primary jobs of a conference or any kind of teaching, is to have people walk away ready to get to work, ready to do things. I've realized I need to have cards. I just use my SIFWA business cards now, and I do need to use cards to promote the Discord and Patreon, because I would like to start getting some more people in there now that we've got a good solid community. I'd like to get some more people coming in. I'm going to rework the definitions a little bit and then do a push on that. Uh, yeah, so it was nice to feel like I really was able to teach something to people at who are kind of coming at it from different levels. I had a couple of interesting experiences. One of which I like wrote down because I thought I have to share this with all of you, because there was this kind of lapse in communication. So one of the things that I had offered to do, one of the programs they have, are critiques. And I had offered to do like manuscript critiques or story concept critiques. And there were two kinds. There were on the spot critiques, which were 8 minutes long, and then advanced manuscript critiques, which were 20 minutes long. And I got the manuscript ahead of time and read it. So I only had two advanced manuscript uh, people, critique people, uh, and one of them never submitted their manuscript, so I didn't have that for them to do. I'm watching the hummingbird on the feeder. There's so many dead ants inside of it. I don't know if this is bad for her to be drinking, but I will deal with it today. Formic acid, I mean, it's like it probably keeps it free of bacteria, but who knows? Anyway, um, so I was doing these critiques, and one of the things, I guess they were doing most of the critiques online, and they were doing pitching online. And that was part of this being a hybrid conference. Everybody's sort of morphing into this in person plus hybrid. And I have thoughts on this, but uh, the I'm not going to get distracted by that. Sorry. If I edit it, if I had high production value, this is where I would edit. I'm not going to go down that path because I want to tell you all about this bizarre experience. So anyway, I had said during the planning stages, they had said, well, the critiques would be online. And I said, why am I doing them online if I'm going to be there? I would much rather sit down with a person face to face and do this. And so I was the only one who was doing this in person. I think, Kate Ristaw, who's executive director, uh, just accommodates me because she's lovely. And, but it was odd that it was only me doing it. And so there was some miscommunication and a little bit of confusion. So anyway, I knew I was doing the on the spot critiques at 2 o'clock on Saturday afternoon and the advanced critiques at 3 o'clock. And there was like only the one scheduled, right? So, but I wasn't clear on what the structure was going to be, how I would know. And so I'm sitting on out on this patio where I knew that this is where I was supposed to be. Hi, Killian. Killian has come up on the table to see all of you. He's very happy to have me home. Yeah. You going to come say hi to everyone? No going up on the wall, please. All right. Uh, I might have to pause or dash really. He's thinking about going. Killian. Oh, all right. Apologies for that. If you're a long time podcast listener, you will know that cat wrangling is all part of the brand here at First Cup of Coffee. Uh, okay, so there was some confusion, and I was sitting on this couch reading and just kind of hanging out and being quasi social. And this one gal came and sat down, and she said, well, I'm your 2 o'clock. And she said, but if you want to get started early, we could get started early. And I was like, oh, because it was still like 10 till 2. And I said, well, I just don't know what the structure is going to be. I don't know what the expectations are. And she's got like a stack of paper with her and everything. And I said, let me go see if I can find someone to tell me. So I finally connected with the volunteer who was coordinating this. And there was still like some kind of strange confusion. So this gal who was my 2 o'clock, we sat down and she kept trying to like hand me her manuscript and stuff. And I said, well, for an on the spot critique like this, uh, she's like, do you want to read my outline? I'm like, no, I can't read your outline. Let's just talk about your idea and let me give you feedback. And so I gave her feedback and ended up talking to her like 5 minutes longer than the 8 or whatever, because, well, because like there wasn't someone immediately after her and she figured that out and kind of kept going. But anyway, I felt like her questions for me were strange and I couldn't figure out why they were so strange. So then the gal who's coordinating comes and sits down with me, and she and I got to know each other a little bit better over like the rest of the afternoon and the next day. But I hadn't really talked to her before, and she said, well, Kate says that we should talk and that we would get along well. And she said, so you like wine? And I was like, well, yes, I like wine. And it was this very stilted conversation. And I couldn't figure out why. Why am I in such a weird conversation? And she was asking me odd questions. And she said, so in your work, what do you represent? And I'm like, what do I represent? And I didn't, I said, I don't know how to answer that question. I said, you mean like thematically? And she said, yeah, like what kinds of things do you represent? And I said, well, I don't think I think about it that way. I said, I always start with a character and a situation, and I build out the story from there. And you all, I mean, if you've been listening for a long time, and maybe you haven't, I shouldn't assume, because some of you may be new listeners from the conference, but that's just not how I think about my work. I don't start from idea. I don't start from theme. So I'm like, well, what do you mean? What do I represent in my stories? And and we continued to have this kind of awkward exchange. And then the person came. Um, she said, well, do you want a few minutes to um, clear your mind before the next person? I said, sure, that'll be good. So then the next person came and she sat down and she had like her manuscripts and stuff and shuffled them. And she said, okay, so I think I'm pitching to you. And I was like, no, no. And so now the light is dawning to me. And all of you are probably caught up because I'll probably have in the show notes that this is what I'm talking about. But I said, I'm I'm not an agent. And it turns out that the gal who was like arranging the critiques thought that she was arranging pitches, and she thought that I was a literary agent. So that was why she asked me what I represented. And and then later she came up to me and she said, "Oh, I realized I was mistaken, and I didn't realize that you're a writer. I thought you were an agent." And she said, "No wonder you were so floored by the question of what you represent." And I just tell you folks, I mean, it was a funny miscommunication, and I kind of felt bad for the people who had thought they were pitching to me. And I was like, I could try to give you feedback on your ideas, but um yeah. So, oh, if you're on video, Killian's behind me. Oh, look at that leap. That was Killian. Oh, you bad cat. Okay, if you were on video, that was kind of awesome. But he came down the garden path behind me and did a full running leap onto the table where I'm sitting under the grape arbor and up onto the high wall around the garden. So I had to stop and uh, get him down. But I was successful. We'll be glad to know. So, anyway, the really interesting takeaway about this whole thing was not only were we talking crosswise of each other, so that created an interesting miscommunication, which would I'm absolutely going to use in a story someday, but also it was really weird talking to people who thought I was an agent because they did not talk normally to me. Killing He is just wild. He is so happy to have me back, and he's just racing around. This gives you incentive to look at the video because you get to see him go dashing by. He's going to be 1 years old, 1 year old in a couple weeks. Amazing. So I thought that this was a really important takeaway because agents will often say things like, talk to us like we're human beings, we're people too. People were not talking to me like I was a regular human being. They had this weird kind of deferential attitude, and uh, I almost can't explain it except that I almost wish that every writer out there would have this experience of having people believe that they are a literary agent. It's this weird form of deference and uh, supplication, and I just have not really ever had bizarre conversations with people like that, And I could tell that they were like all wound up, that they had this tension around talking to me. So like even the gal who was coordinating, when she asked me what I represent, she has an agent, and I asked her who her agent was, because I always ask people who their agents are, because I'm always like gathering information on agents, and I wasn't familiar with the agent's name, and she said, oh well, she's local. But I could tell it kind of bothered her. I didn't know who this agent was. And just as a point of reference, not all agents know each other. Okay, so it wouldn't be all that strange for me, even if I were an agent, which there, but for the grace of God go I. I do not want to be an agent. But I will tell you that uh, there are writers who become agents because it gives them more power over the industry. And I don't mean that in a diabolical way. I mean that it gives them more, a feeling of more control over the process, instead of being that's the supplicant at the table, which is how writers tend to view themselves, as being the supplicant at the table, which you are not. You are the source. You are the font. You are the creative beginning of it all. So yeah, I would love to be able to give you a takeaway on how you talk to agents, but all I can tell you is how not to talk to them. Um, this whole thing where people were so tense and careful about, like, and trying to figure out things to ask me, and it was just, oh, it was really enlightening. And I know that I used to be worse about it, although I think I was never as bad as some people. Because I remember one of the first conferences I went to, and I was pitching with two other writers, and we would like practice our pitches together and stuff. And they were both physically ill about pitching. And there is just no reason to do that. Okay, I have to walk that back. I understand the reason, because I myself have, sorry, I'm laughing at the cat. I have been concerned about the same things. Um, and and I've been tense pitching to agents, and I understand why a lot of agents don't like taking pitches at conferences, especially one after another, because people talk to you weird. Um, so I think whatever you could do, if you are in the query trenches, if you are out there querying and pitching, I know it's hard. I mean, I spent years doing it, and it sucks. And I cried many tears. But one thing that, if you are all able to do, is recognize that agents are simply people who have a particular business expertise, and maybe they can help you and maybe they can't. But pitching is really all about, it's not convincing them that you are their, I don't know, like you're trying to trick them or talk them into taking you on as a client. What you're doing is interviewing each other and finding out if you have um, commonality, uh, if you fit. Huh. And so now I'm thinking as I'm talking, which is never wise, although I suppose I should always think as I talk, preferably before I talk, uh, that I would love to rework agent pitching, possibly editor pitching too, but definitely agent pitching in this light, and have it be set up in a different way, so that there is not this weird energy. So, anyway, that was one of my great insights from the weekend. I have a whole nother story to tell you, and I've already talked for nearly 20 minutes between rambling and cat wrangling. So, I will save the other story for the Friday podcast. Um, yeah, so glad to be back. Hope you all are doing well. Hope that you got to have something wonderful over the weekend that helped feed your creative cycle and refilled your well. And I will talk to you all on Friday. You all take care. Bye bye.